Hello guys and welcome back to Big Brother Reviews, and today we've got a lot to talk about. A lot happened in last night's episode and a lot is going to be happening this week, including a potential surprise eviction tomorrow. So a lot's going to be happening this week because it's Halloween and I'm very, very excited. Now, before we get into this episode, I just want to say thank you guys very, very much for the support on these videos. If you're liking what you're seeing, make sure to like, comment and subscribe. Do all that YouTube stuff. And yeah, basically just give me any indication that you're enjoying what you're seeing. Okay, so let's start with what happened directly after Hallie's live eviction. I gotta say, Hallie's live eviction was tough. It was so lovely to see her talking so eloquently and so passionately about sort of why she was in the house, what she was standing up for. She's genuinely such an interesting person to hear talk on a public platform because she's 18, but my God, she talks like she's like in her 30s or 40s, like just with how she words things and how well she puts across like her arguments or her discussions. It was really insightful. I watched Late in Live last night as well, and she was a guest on that as well. And she was spilling the tea, but she was also so poised, and it was really, really nice to see her back on the show. Like I actually did miss her in the episode, and then she was on Late and Live, so I was like, oh, I didn't actually miss her that much because I still got to see her again, which was nice. It sounds like they didn't hear the get pull out chants, and it's disappointing because from where a lot of us were standing in the audience, it was all we could hear, and like the get carry out chants weren't actually as loud as they were on the TV broadcast. So I don't know whether there was like some sort of pumping in of sound potentially on ITV's behalf. I don't know. I don't want to accuse them of that, but it just did seem weird that the shouts that were so loud to us in the audience were barely heard on the TV. I don't know. It's just a little theory potentially, but it was just a bit weird. And Dylan also spoke about how he was surprised that he was still there. He really thought he was going, and so did the entire audience. I don't think anyone expected Hallie to go. I don't think anyone expected you to stay. So Dylan, you got lucky. Essentially, you got really, really lucky. Dylan and Trish had a conversation about the chicken again, because Dylan was like, essentially, we have enough for food tomorrow, but if you want your food now, then like I can't do anything to stop you, but there's no food for tomorrow then. And like, again, I do understand where he's coming from because he's just trying to get everyone in a mindset of, yeah, you can eat what you want when you want, but know that in a couple of days' time, there's going to be no food to eat. So you can have it now, fair enough, but you're going to go hungry in a couple of days because there's going to be nothing. And I do understand why he's doing that, because he doesn't want to see anyone hungry, or he doesn't want to see anyone sort of in that position. But also, like, just it gets to a point where you just got to let people get on with it and live their own life and make their own mistakes. Because if Trish wants to cook chicken, she's going to cook chicken, and then she'll go hungry in a couple of days. Not your problem. You warned her at the end of the day. It's time to talk about what Olivia brought up surrounding Hallie's eviction. And I gotta be honest, I completely 100% agree with her. And we said it in the audience when her name was announced. We were surprised, but also not surprised because of what's going on in the UK at the moment, how sort of transgender people are being treated, and the fact that when you've got Dylan, who is becoming not a particularly nice person, he's shouting a lot, he's doing a lot of this, and you've got Hallie, who is an 18-year-old at the end of the day, who's like got a heart and is loved. Not that I'm saying that Dylan hasn't got one, but like it just feels very suspicious that out of the three of them, she was chosen to be evicted. when I don't think she's actually done anything necessarily. They pointed out that, yeah, she has her tantrums and she has her outbursts, but, like, I've never seen them as enough reason to want her out, ever. Like, I don't even think that Kerry's outbursts are enough to want her out of the house, because I don't think that people having outbursts are enough reason to want somebody to leave, because people have outbursts in real life, and you're going to have them in a house where you're confined to a certain amount of people and a certain amount of space for God knows how long. So of course you're going to have outbursts. But Olivia brought up the fact that she thinks that it might have been sort of the viewing public that potentially voted her out because she's transgender, and obviously that's a big hot topic at the moment. And then Chanel walked in and went, "Oh, well, I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case at all." And I just think Chanel's being quite naive, especially because, like, before they went into the house, the Tory party kind of shat all over the sort of progress we've made in accepting transgender communities and things like that. So I don't know. Jenkin also disagreed with Olivia's comments, but I said it on Friday. I said it in my Saturday's episode, and I'm saying it again today. I think Hallie was voted out because the public is transphobic. Not the entire public, but like Olivia said, you don't have to be a Big Brother fan to vote. If there's enough media coverage, which there has been around Hallie, people will jump on the bandwagon just to vote her out, just to be spiteful. And that could be what's happened. That could be why there's been so many votes this week. I don't know. Who knows? It's time to talk about Jordan and Henry. I'm not talking about Matty because I'm trying to ignore the fact that he exists at the moment, because he's really, really winding me up. He went into the diary room and complained about Olivia again, and I just thought, shut the fuck up. You're like, what? You bring nothing to this house. No entertainment, nothing. You're just an obstacle in Jordan's path. And anyway. So Jordan and Henry were discussing their first date, which was really, really cute. They had a cheeky little smooch under the table out of the camera's view, but we still heard it because of their microphones. And I just, I'm so invested in their, like, sort of storyline at the moment. I do think it's genuine. I do think they genuinely do have feelings for each other, which is so lovely. And I just want a spin-off show of their life. I just love them so much. They're so cute. What else did they do? Oh, Jordan was talking to Henry about how confusing Matty is, and sort of how Matty was like is in a relationship, an open relationship, but is still sort of flirting with him, and it's confusing him because he knows that Matty will never want the same thing from Jordan that Jordan wants from Matty. So wait, did I say Henry? I'm getting confused with all their names. You get what I mean. And so Matty, please just leave Jordan alone. You can be friends, that's fine by me, but just stop the flirting, because it's just getting really uncomfortable to watch at the moment. I'm not gonna lie. I gotta say, there's a group of people in the house that are starting to wind me up a little bit. I say starting, they've been winding me up for a while now. I don't know what possessed them to do this, but Paul, Olivia, I think Tom was involved as well, just started chucking lettuce on Kerry while she was trying to sleep. And I just thought it was a little bit childish and a little bit rude and a little bit disrespectful. Like, I don't know, it felt weird, and Kerry rightfully got pissed off, and I don't know, they're just really rubbing me up the wrong way at the moment. Like, I like Olivia on her own. I don't like Olivia when she's around Paul. And I think that's the massive differentiating factor currently, is that Paul is causing all this trouble because he's acting like a 5-year-old. Like, later on, there were multiple people trying to sleep. Yinran, Trish, Dylan was trying to sleep. Kerry was trying to sleep. 4 people were trying to sleep. Other people were getting ready for bed. What does Paul and Olivia and Tom and Noki decide to do, hit each other with cushions, start screaming and shouting in the bedroom at like 3 a.m. Are you joking? You've got the entire house to play like silly fuckers with, but you decide to do it in the bedroom where people are genuinely trying to sleep. Have you got that little respect for people? It's so incredibly disrespectful. And like, I've spoken about how like I find Dylan annoying currently and I don't really enjoy him in the house at the moment. But when he went into that diary room and he was ranting, I was 100% on board with him. I would have gone into that diary room and I would have kicked off as well, because what the fuck are you doing at 2 a.m. in the morning, 3 a.m. in the morning? Why are you disrupting people's sleep? You've got no respect for other people. Why are you doing this? Actually, why? Because, oh, I'm so angry. I'm so annoyed. It did really, really wind me up. And I think if they keep doing this, Dylan's going to stay in the house if he gets put up for nominations again, or put up for eviction again, because people are going to feel sorry for him and people are going to want those people out. Currently, the targets for me are Tom and Paul. If they get put up for nomination, it's going to be difficult to put up for eviction. It's going to be difficult to decide which one of them I want to evict less. Like, I want them both gone. They're both so annoying currently. Like, both of them have got zero personality. Like, I've said Noki's got zero personality, but also, like, Noki has her moments where I'm like, oh, you're alright. And then she mentions the pageant again, and I'm just like, but with Paul and Tom, they just add nothing to this house but pissing me off. Oh, I'm so done. Speaking about Noki, Yinren mentioned that she feels like she can't really have deep chats with Noki. She feels like all of the conversations they have are very surface level. And this is something that Jordan and Henry have both brought up as well. And I'm starting to wonder whether it is just a case of Noki not being friendly enough with them in order to have those conversations. Because like I had a discussion on Twitter the other day, and people were like, well, she does open up to other people during the live streams, but we're just not seeing any of that on the highlight show. And I don't watch the live streams because I'm not sitting there for 3 hours watching the housemates and then bird noise for like 2 hours out of 3. So like, I essentially watch the highlight shows to base my decisions on people, because that's all I've got time for. I might watch Late and Live every now and then, but they don't really change my opinions on anyone. It's more just like funny moments or like a bit of drama. So yeah, I'm not vibing with Noki. Do I want her to go? I don't want her to make it to the finale, let's just put it that way. But I don't particularly want her out of the house right this second. I just don't think she necessarily brings anything to the house, which sucks. But yeah, it is what it is. Kerry was also telling a story about sort of how hard the NHS is finding it at the moment. And she told a story about how they decided to like boost morale with workers by having an ice cream truck like come round and like give them all ice cream for free. And she said that it was a stupid decision because there's 4,000 workers, and if each of them get like a £3 ice cream, then that's, and like they could have as many as they want. So they're looking at upwards of like 12 grand, which is wild. And she said that I think that people would just rather them get extra money than have an ice cream. Do you know what I mean? And I did kind of agree with her there. I think there's definitely an argument to be made that money's being put into the wrong areas of the NHS, and obviously Kerry agrees with that. But obviously, like, it's difficult to have opinions on this when all we're seeing is like a little bit of a conversation. So yeah, just thought I'd mention that little section as well. It's time to talk about the venting machine challenge, and I gotta say, some people took the venting seriously, some people did not, and I think it was reflected by how much snacks and shit they got. So starting off, Kerry was ranting about how she doesn't like chicken on the bone, she doesn't like spicy food, and she was shouting and she was screaming, and I thought that she really fully embraced the whole venting part of the challenge. And then Olivia took over and she was talking about how she hates people who leave the toilet seat up. directed at Dylan, of course, and it was really funny. Paul was indirectly sort of, oh, this was really, really funny actually about Paul. Paul said he doesn't like how people chat about him behind his back and don't come and confront him face to face, but then indirected Noki about chatting behind his back and not talking to his face about it. And I was like, well, you haven't spoken to her about it, so why should she come and talk to you about it? Eh? If you've got the problem, she doesn't have a problem. She was just raising an issue that she had with what had happened. You've got the issue with her. Speaking of Noki, she did kind of wind me up when she was like, "Oh, why is everyone screaming? Oh, oh, it's just so painful." I was just like, "Oh, shut up. It's a venting challenge. People are going to scream and shout to get their angers and frustrations out. Just because that's not how you deal with things doesn't mean that, like, other people don't deal with it in the same way." Oh, she did wind me up with that comment, I won't lie. Dylan was up next, and he spoke about how he is sick of people complaining about his food, and if people don't like it, they don't have to eat it, and they can cook for themselves. This was kind of directed at Kerry because Kerry doesn't like the spicy food, and he kind of went, "If you don't like spicy food, cook something yourself." And it was quite funny to watch, but he was fuming by the end of it, and it was actually really funny to watch. I'm glad he got all of his frustrations out because it meant that he was able to take the rest of the challenge kind of in his stride and like laugh about it. Noki complained about people not washing up properly, and then just nothing else. And I thought, like, even in a venting challenge, you're giving me nothing. Like, all you've done is just complain about, like, the washing up. You haven't actually aired any frustrations out. Like, I know you have more frustrations with people in this house than you're letting on. So what's going on here? Like, the same can be said for a couple of other people in this in this challenge. But, like, Noki was the one I noticed it most with, where I felt that she was really holding back. Matty was fuming about the food police, directed probably at Dylan and kind of Trish as well, and also about the pubes in the shower, which was really disgusting. Yinran was also complaining about the swearing. She said that she's heard more swears in this house than she has in 10 months living in Harrogate, which is so funny. And it was nice to see her sort of, she wasn't screaming, but she was still shouting a little bit, and it felt like she was, I know she has more frustrations as well, same with Noki, but she was holding back. I don't know why, but I think it's just I don't know what it was, but I just felt like I would have liked her to dig a little deeper and air some more frustrations out because she didn't really get a lot of food afterwards. Tom was fuming about the plastic tray, and yeah, okay, cool. Moving swiftly on, Trish was ranting about the fact that she says that people always want people to be comfortable and honest and talk to each other about problems that they have, but as soon as she is honest and talks about problems she has with people, she's being confrontational and she's being angry. And I've never wanted to clap her more in my life. Like, she hit the nail on the head. People in this house are so sort of, they treat her like she's an angry person, but she's not. I've never once seen Trish get angry, and whenever she's had a problem with someone, she goes up to them and she like talks to them on their level eloquently, and she never once demeans them, which some other people in the house have, and I just got to give her credit for that. Followed swiftly up by Chanel, who, on the back of what Trish had just said that just because she doesn't like confrontation doesn't mean she can't have a conversation about it. And I think, again, that's a very, very good point that she brought up. She doesn't like confrontation because confrontation is scary. However, having a discussion about a problem shouldn't be a confrontation. It should just be a discussion about an issue, and that's what she's saying. She said, "I'm not worried. I don't mind having those discussions. I just don't like the angry confrontation." And I think I understood Chanel's sort of position on that a little bit more. Jenkins spoke about how if people don't like his swearing, then they can like fuck off or whatever, and that was clearly directed at Yinran. And then he also spoke about how the spicy food is really messing up his arse and burning his arse as well. And then he also spoke about how he hasn't had a solid poo since he got there. Which I just thought was so funny. Like, how How did you make me laugh? Just from like a simple shit joke? Literally a shit joke. Oh my goodness. Finally, Henry was up, and he basically just said that no one came to him and told him what problems they had with him when he was voted up for nomination. And if people are going to be honest and truthful with each other, then why didn't anyone tell him what he was doing wrong? Which I thought was absolutely fair and valid. And then Jenkin basically was going on a rant about how when Big Brother says shut up, stop talking. And I kind of agreed with him. He also indirected Matty about being confusing, and yeah, but I'm just gonna glaze over that because I don't care about Matty. I only had one iconic moment from this episode, which was a bit of a shame. There were a couple that almost made the list, but they just weren't that iconic and they weren't funny enough for me to put on there. However, Chanel thinking that there were different moons genuinely had me cackling. I did not expect her to come out with that, and I did not expect her to defend it so fiercely, to the point where like she was just not able to see any other side. She was like, no, there's more than one moon. And everyone was looking at her like, you are thick. Like, even Jenkin was like, you're thick. Like, how can you think that there's two moons? But what a funny moment, and definitely one that's going to stay with me for a while. So if you liked what you saw, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. That's all we've got time for today, and I will see you guys tomorrow to dive into the spooky Halloween twist. Someone's getting possessed. 3 people are going up for nomination. 1 person is going on Halloween. Who will it be? You decide. So thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Keep on ranting. Bye.